back to my channel. My name is Carolyn and this is my Flosstube channel, Carolyn Stitches. Today is Sunday, January 20th. It is an extremely cold day here in South Florida. I have on long sleeves, sweatpants, the heat is on. We woke up to temperatures in the low 30s, wind blowing. This is not normal for us. We don't do good with this kind of weather. If you follow me on Instagram, over on Instagram, I'm a fiber freak on Instagram. You'll see some of the funny postings I've had. We've had warnings of watch out for falling iguanas. And yes, it's a thing. They're an invasive species to South Florida. And when the weather gets very cold like this, it puts them, it like stuns them. They go into like a state of suspension where they don't move. And it's a warning to people that, yeah, they can fall out of the trees. They do get, I've seen them, very big iguanas, and there are very little iguanas, but there's a lot of very big iguanas. They can fall out of the trees or whatever high perch they go up into. And also, if you see them laying on the ground, stunned, they're not dead, and so it's advising you don't pick them up, because when they warm up, they will come back to life, and their tail and their claws and stuff. But it is also a chance to humanely dispose of them because they are an invasive species. So it's kind of a good time. If you see them, you can grab them and humanely dispose of them to try to eradicate them from our environment here. We have a lot of invasive species between the iguanas, and then the Everglades has the pythons, which they do python hunting throughout the year, or certain times of the year as they hunt for pythons. So anyway, off track. This is a channel about cross stitch, my journey through cross stitch, what I'm stitching on, what I plan to stitch on, and other things I may be doing. I'm going to share with you today. I've delved into something different for me, which I'm very much enjoying, and I'm going to share that. And occasionally there may be quilting, knitting, or crochet if I happen to be doing any of that. At the time, I've just been cross stitching. As you can see, I'm in my sewing room today. I have prior finishes here that I need to get finished. I had planned on doing them, but just hadn't gotten around to it. I've been stitching, and I still have this same quilt that's been hanging up on here for over a year now, waiting to be pieced together. I have a lot of hobbies, and we're only going to look at this area of the room because that area of the room is a mess. Okay, let's get into it today. Yeah, I already said that, January 20th. If you are a new subscriber, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I hope you stick around. I hope you like what you see. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and stitching with me, sharing my stitching journey with me. I try to film these every 3 weeks or so. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, at least once a month I try to get them out. I don't really have time in my schedule to put out a weekly one or a bi-weekly one, so if I can do once a week, that's good enough for me, and it gives me a chance to, you know, have some stitching, because sometimes I may go a week or two where I stitch on one project, and to me, I want to show you a little more, so I give it a little time. In the past month, let's see what's been going on. Just work. Our cooler weather has come. Our cats are settling in. Trying to think what else. I had a couple trips to my L&S, my local needlework shop, the Cross Stitch Cupboard in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Wilton Manors, Florida. Visited with Karen. Lovely visit. I'll have to show you some stuff I got from her that I'll share with you. And I had a wonderful stitching day yesterday, Saturday. 2 of my friends came over. One I had not seen in a long time, pre-pandemic. It was so lovely to see her. And my friends and I just sat here for the afternoon for a couple hours, and we chatted and we stitched, and we just had sisterhood and just hung out. And it was so nice. It was just lovely to sit with my friends and stitch and talk with them. Hopefully we're trying to make it a regular thing where once a month we're going to get together and have a stitchy day. What else? Not much. It's been a lot of work. Still working on the remodel in the bedroom. Got wallpaper down off 2 walls spackled and patched. Need to sand them and still have 2 walls to do. I know if I just went in there and did it, I could do the whole room in like a weekend, But no, it's just me doing the work, and I'm not spending an entire weekend in there or 2 weekends doing it. I pick an afternoon and I go in and do one wall and relax and let my arm recover, my shoulder recover, and then I sit and relax and stitch, because I do need to decompress from my, I need time to decompress from my work week. Okay, I think I've thought of everything. Oh, I want to give a, mention a few Flosstubers I watched. Stephanie at So Glover, I think it's So Glover Creations. Go watch her. She's a new Flosstuber, newer stitcher. She's been doing some great comparisons with glow-in-the-dark thread, and she likes to stitch with a lot of glow-in-the-dark. I was actually supposed to meet up with Stephanie early this month at a visit to the LNS, but plans changed, and hopefully we'll be able to get together soon and meet up in person. She lives a couple hours north of me. And who else? Vicky, the Virginia Stitcher. I'm doing a stitch along with her. I've been watching some others, but I don't think I have been watching some. Oh, you know what I've been watching? This is weird. A podcast on Needlepoint. I don't want a needlepoint, and I'll show you why here in a little while. It's beautiful. I've just been finding it kind of fascinating, the different type of stitching. So I've been watching To the Point or something, or Pointed something. I don't know what it's called. It's a Needlepoint podcast, and it was interesting. So let's get into the stitching. I have 2 finishes. I did not get around to fully finishing them. I have whips, new starts, and a whole new type of stitching that I haven't done before, which I'm in love with right now, and haul and some plans. So let's get into it. Finish. And I wish I would have, I've been trying to film this for like 2 days, and I've thrown it together here in my room, so I don't have everything with me. If there's anything you have questions on, let me know in the comments below, and I will get to you. I will try to remember what I can. But this one is Let's Talk Winter by Hands On Designs. This is on 28 count or 32 count. It's linen. It's Needle Bling Designs Wapu Blue. So this is Let's Talk Winter. Did I say Let's Talk Autumn? It's Let's Talk Winter. Called for flosses, but I did switch the fabric out to the Wapu Blue, which I think is just beautiful on it. I have spring kitted, I have summer kitted. I'll wait a little bit to start those. And as you can see over my shoulder, I have the harvest one here. I will frame this in a frame and put them out seasonally. Okay, the next finish is Sally Snow. I'm sorry, my camera's a little weird today. Sally Snow. It's a limited edition kit by Lizzie Kate. Some of these stand-up kits, 1, 2, 3 Stitch, still sells. However, Sally Snow here, you have to find it on the secondary market. So either eBay, Etsy, Stash Unload sites. That's where you can find it. I was lucky enough, I think I found it on eBay. A kit with all the little doodads to finish it up. And the fabric was also in the kit. Sorry, I didn't get around to ironing this, but this is Sally Snow. And the fabric that came in the kit was a cranberry ice hand-dyed linen. And I used DMCs on this. I didn't use any fancy floss. It calls for fancy floss. I use DMCs. Fancy flosses, if you don't know, are hand-dyed flosses, over-dyed flosses. They give a little more depth, shading, modeling in the thread. But I just use regular DMC. And this here is some kind of fuzzy fiber thing that came in the kit. You can see it, put it this side. It's some kind of fuzzy stuff. Stitched it, and then I have like a little bristly brush that I brushed against it to bring the fibers up to make it real fuzzy. So that was Sally Snow, and she needs to be fully finished, but I'm gonna do her when I get her boyfriend done. Okay, let's jump into whips, and then I'll get into new starts. So my whips that I worked on Joe Snow. Joe Snow is a new start. So I worked on Joe Snow, and he's also the kit I got that came with all his little doodads. And Joe Snow is stitched on Kate Slate hand-dyed linen. It came with the kit. Sorry for my hanging floss. I only got a small start on Joe. So a small start on Joe there, on his sweater. Okay. Next whip I worked on. These are in no particular order on how I worked on them. Winter Queen by Mirabilia. I'm doing this as a stitch along with Vicki, the Virginia Stitcher. She is working on hers also, and Janet at Janet Jabber is working on hers. So the three of us are working on Winter Queen right now. And mine is on a Summer Sky, 32 count Summer Sky Jobeline. Figure which way's up, get my extra floss. So this is where I'm at with it. I'm in an area of white. This is like her knee or something. Yeah, this is like where her, I'm looking at my picture. This is where like her knee is, and this is gonna be her skirt coming down. So I am just in here with all of this white and shades of gray and stuff. So I was asking a question to Janet and Vicki. There is a lot of whisper. I don't know if I put my hands on it. Have it? Yeah, whisper. There's a lot of whisper that is called for in here. I got 2 cards of it right now. And I'm in areas in here where the whisper is going to go. So question is, would you stitch the whisper as you went? And then, you know, obviously at the end I back stitch and do Krynic and do beads. So I do Krynic, back stitch, and beads. So it's, for me, it's stitch, Krynic, back stitch, beads. That's how I do my projects. But with the fuzzy whisper stuff, there's quite a lot of it in sections where it's needed, and you know, you have to count around it and leave big areas where all this whisper is going to fill in. Would you stitch the whisper as you went? And keep in mind, I'm on a Q-snap, so as I move this, my concern is the Q-snap will really smush in the fibers of the whisper. Or would you stitch everything, then do at the end, because when I bead, I put this in a scroll rod. Then at the end, would you then stitch the whisper, the Krynic, the back stitch, and the beads? So that's just what I'm debating, whether I'm going to do the whisper as I go, and then I'm concerned about the Q-snap smushing it, or just wait and do all the whisper at the end. I'm not looking forward to stitching with the whisper. And especially since there's so much of it, my thought of leaving it all at the end is a little daunting. Let me know what you think. Comments below. Sorry, I gotta put everything back as I go, or I am liable to lose something. Okay. I'm not very planned out for this today. The next whip I worked on, and then we'll get into new, yeah, I got 2 more whips. The next whip I worked on was From the Heart by Needle Art by Wendy, Quaker Bells. And I'm doing this on a 25 count green Lugana over 1 over 1. 1 thread, 1 piece of floss over 1 thread in the fabric. So 1 over 1. I worked on the green motif. I started the green motif and worked on that for a little bit. Loving how this is working up. Okay. And the next whip I worked on that I'm having a blast with, I don't have a picture because it's a free pattern online. It's a free pattern. I'll try to insert one here. It's a free pattern by Alfortis Embroidery, Carriage Pumpkin. And when I showed this for my whip parade, I only had this pumpkin done in the doors and a little bit of the carriage. I have since finished the whole pumpkin carriage, done the wheels, the 2 leaves, starting the vine up this side and the vine up this side. And I'm stitching it with the flosses from Alfortis Embroidery. So you can get the pattern for free from Alfortis Embroidery's website, and you can buy the flosses from Alfortis Embroidery. And it does ship. It's very reasonable. It ships very fast from Russia. This is stitched on a fabric flare bark. I looked it up. One second. The name is like cut off on it. So I did look it up. It is stitched on bark slushy, 32 count linen, fabric flare bark slushy. So the pattern has a border down here with a bunch of black and pumpkins, and it has a border up here with black and a bunch of pumpkins. I think I'm just going to stitch the vines of the pumpkin going up and pumpkins going across and the vine coming down. I want to see what that looks like first, and then I'll decide if I'm going to put this black border down here with pumpkins and a black border up here with pumpkins. Trying to keep it a little light. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that aspect of the chart. I'll insert another picture so you can see. But I'm loving this. I'm going to hopefully try to finish this one up soon. I do have an idea for finishing on it that involves a pumpkin. Okay. Now, new starts. I got a couple new starts. This first new start is Christmas Delivery by Cottage Garden Samplings. I saw this as a shop sample at my local needlework shop, the Cross Stitch Cupboard, and they stitched it on this gorgeous piece of fabric by Cross Winged Collection called Bang, B-A-N-G, Bang. And it's gorgeous. It just has all this, it's a really dark fabric with all these splotches that look like stars. It looked beautiful. The colors just contrast against the fabric so beautifully. And then with all these splotches in the fabric, it looks like stars. So I just had to get it and start it. Sorry for the glare. I think it's going to look pretty when it's done. So I started that one. Using DMCs. Oh, the fabric count is a... Oh, I just put everything in here. 1 second. 1 moment. It's a 32 count. The fabric comes like... It came pre-cut, pre-sized as a 24 by 27 inch piece of fabric. The design fits on there just perfect. Even has some extra room to spare. So I got that. And next new start is my temperature butterfly. This is by Birdie's Crossing on Etsy. I will insert a picture here of what it'll look like. Because we are in Florida and our temperatures do not change a lot in range, I didn't want to do like for these 4 degrees it's one color, for these 4 degrees it's another color, because I would have had whole sections that could have been like just one solid swath of color, because we can go a couple days without the temperature really changing drastically. It'll change like a degree or so. this last 2 weeks, week and a half, because last week we had some really cold weather too for like a day or two, have been interesting so far. I have to catch up on my color thing. I'm only through January. I'm keeping a list of everything here. I'm only through January 22nd. And the coldest day we had was 67, represented on what I have stitched here so far. So the highest temperature I have represented on here is 83 degrees, which is up here. It was right after the new year. And the coldest day we had that I've stitched so far is 67, and that was on January 18th right here. The rest of this is, a lot of this is very high 70s. All of this is anywhere from like 77 to 80 degrees, and then we got some lower 70s. This is 67, so I'm up to January 22nd, and then I have a couple days here to stitch, and I think our high today, if we're lucky, that will hit 60 degrees today. So I'll get some really bright colors up here to come around the wing, and then I'm sure by Friday we're going to be 80 degrees again, so I'll be back in the oranges and yellows and stuff. But that's my temperature butterfly. Our two cold days we've had so far this year, 67 degrees and 70 degrees were our coldest right here. Coldest 2 days so far, not counting yesterday and today, which will bring some really bright, I think I have purples or something that'll pull in. That's my temperature butterfly. Stitched in on 18 count, like ivory Ada. Yeah, 18 count ivory Ada. Okay, now we're gonna break out into something different. Not quite cross stitch, a little something different. When I visited my local L&S, the Cross Stitch Cupboard, she also carries some needlepoint. She has hand-painted needlepoint canvases, and she has some printed needlepoint canvases, which are serigraphy prints, I think they're called. Serigraphy print needlepoint tapestries. And the instructions on the back, it's like a half cross stitch. The instructions that it gives you, and it is a printed canvas, calling to use just DMC. So Karen was so kind to be like, go ahead, try one, see what you think. And she gifted me with one, and I've tried it, and this is the one I chose. I'm not 100% off, you know, I'm not like, oh my god, this is my new hobby. No, it's fun. It's just soothing stitching. I filled in the rose. I have the rose filled in and some of the background filled in. I'm using DMC flosses that it calls for. It lists the colors off to the side. I'm stitching this in hand, so I'm trying to be very careful. It uses all 6 strands of DMC at one time. But the only thing I'm finding, because this is why I've been watching Needlepoint podcast videos, is hand painted canvases are stitched much better, much finer, where when you hit the intersection of the stitch, it's very clear on like what color you put there. On these printed ones, it's not so clear. So I'm gonna try to hold it real close. You have to kind of guess in here. Am I going to use the really dark mustardy color? Am I going to use a light color? Am I going to use like pink? It's kind of like stitcher's choice on what color you're going to make that stitch. So the rose, I tried to follow it as closely as I could, making a determination of what the threads underneath were painted or printed, but in the end, it was stitcher's choice on what color I did. So it's not bad. I'll show you my back. My background is nice and neat. My poor little rose is just a hodgepodge of just destruction, because I was not starting and ending a bunch of flosses. I was traveling somewhat to get to where I needed to go to fill in all the stitches as I was doing it. So it's fun. It's something different. Will it become a permanent hobby? No. It won't become a permanent hobby. And then yes, some of the hand-painted needlepoint canvases, from what I've discovered, are, and I'm no expert in this in any way, some of them are stitched, paint stitched, or each stitch is individually painted, so there's no doubt with the stitches, it's painted. Like, you don't have to guess, you don't have to nothing, the stitch is painted, it's clear. Some of them are more artistically painted, so you can still take your choice of which color you put there, but the artists painted it. The painted ones are very expensive. A canvas like this is probably $80 or something, hand painted, not even before you get all your flosses and threads and stuff. This little printed one, I think it retailed for 12 bucks. For the cost of a canvas for needlepoint, I'll buy a couple cross stitch patterns and fabric. And I just like the cross stitch better. Not to say there's nothing wrong with needlepoint. I find some of the needlepoint is beautiful that is done. It's just kind of not my thing. However, what I have discovered is my thing that I am totally enjoying is counted canvas work. So I bought this kit online, Holiday Delights by Needle Delights Originals. It's Kathy Reese design. It's counted canvas work. And you can find, there's I think some cross-stitch shops carry them. If you Google it, I have seen some cross-stitch shops carry the patterns. I know even the cross-stitch cupboard has some counted canvas work patterns, not a lot. I have seen these at other shops where they carry them. And I bought it as a kit. So with all the watercolors, beautiful watercolor flosses, Arctic Rays, shiny stuff, and then some pearl. So it came as a kit with that and with the mono canvas. The instructions have to grid it out. They give instructions to grid it out on the mono canvas. So it'll say this border is 10 stitches, so you have to count in 10. They'll say this is like 20 stitches by 20 stitches. You'll count it in. This could be 18 by 30 something. So you count it in and draw it out. So once you get it all counted in and drawn out, it's very simple then to go, okay, block A, here's the stitches and stitches stitch. Block B, block C, block D, and do the stitches. I am loving this. I started this yesterday about noon. And then while my friends were visiting and we were stitching in 3 hours, I stitched this, and I got most of this done. And then last night I finished this block and started the hat. So I'm hoping today, since it's, what is going on today? Championship games, determine who goes to the Super Bowl. I don't really watch football. I really can't stand football. So my husband will commandeer the TV. I will put my headphones in and listen to my book on tape, and I will stitch on this hopefully the rest of the night. But isn't that, I'm going to get out of the picture so you can see that. Isn't that gorgeous with the colors and the stitches? So it's a new technique to me. The stitches are very simple to do. I'm going to show you just, I know I'm not going to show you the whole pattern, but I'm going to show you just a little peek at a pattern so you can see like how easy it is, how well spelled out the patterns are, and how easy it is. Like they draw out for you what the stitches are. I mean, they tell you what color this is, what color that line is, what color to use, but they draw the stitches out for you on where to stick your needle and come up and down and go up and down. It is so easy to follow. Yes, there are some stitches in here that are a little more complicated. I mean, you got this thing, I forget what it's called. I think in here the stitches get woven in a little in and out, but overall, it's so much fun. So much fun, so much fun. I'm loving it. So I'm gonna finish this one, and I think I'll get some more. She has these little holiday delight ones where she has like a Christmas, Hanukkah, 4th of July, Easter, St. Patrick's Day, Thanksgiving. She's got different themes for these. So I just may stick with these and stitch these little holiday ones. It's just tack to stretcher bar, The kit came with the mono canvas. It's 18 count mono canvas. The kit came with the mono canvas. Stretcher bars I got off of 123 Stitch. I think these are 10-inch stretcher bars. A packet of stretcher bars comes 2 bars. 1 bar, 2 bar, comes 2 bars to a package. So you need to buy, like, if you're doing a 10-inch by 10-inch, you got to buy 2 sets of 10-inch bars so you can make a square. I think they sell them 2 to a package, because if this was 10 inches by 15 inches, you could buy, you know, a 15-inch bar set and a 10-inch bar set to make a custom frame size you need. And then I tacked it on. I did notice a lot of needlepoint tacks on with the needlepoint on top. So it would have been like, this is your stitching and this is the top of your work, and then, you know, you stitch and this would be the back of your work. But I thought if I'm ending flosses or ending threads, I want it to be easily to maneuver around this wood. So I tacked it to the back with the stitching up. From what I'm learning with it, using waist knots to start, ending the threads is I kind of pull my floss out to another area, and then my next floss will stitch over it, and then I'll trim it. And then there have been times I've just turned it over and did like a Bargello tuck on the back to secure my floss. But I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep sharing it with you because I am loving it. I am loving it, loving it, loving it. It did not take long to draw out the grid. Drew it out on a lunch break. Maybe 20 minutes it took to draw out the grid. Once I got the hang of where to count and stuff, and I counted like this first border and this first square, I probably counted like 20 times, but then once I got the hang of it and you started to get some things, you could kind of draw off another, and it made it a little easier. So, okay. Put this away. Bear with me, please. So that is my foray into something different. And then let's get into haul, because my haul is also taking me into something different. I'm doing the needlework canvas, which has different types of stitches to me, but I also purchased this Drawn Threads sampler of stitches, the complete set. So it's the alphabet A through Z. It's 9 parts. I have more than 9. Is it 9 parts? Part 6? Yeah, I guess 9 parts. It just seems like a lot, but it's 9 parts. Has different sections, has like beads or a charm. Some beads that go with it. This one has like a little charm. Yeah. So it's 9 parts, and it is specialty stitches. It is loaded with specialty stitches everywhere. So this is kind of my goals to try and start this year. I'm gonna have to set this up. I want to set this up in a scroll rod because I don't want to risk the stitches in a Q-snap or a hoop or something. But where am I going with this? I converted this. The flosses it calls for are Needlepoint silk flosses, like a dark and light mauve, a dark and light blue, an olive color, a gold color. It read kind of dated to me. It read very muted. I went to my L&S, the Cross Stitch Cupboard, and she carries the full line of Needlepoint silks, and I pulled all the colors it called for and laid them out, and then I did a conversion. And to me, that is the wonderful thing also about having an L&S and supporting your L&S's, is to go in there and see all the fibers in person and stuff, because it looks different than the computer screen. I was trying to do it online with color cards online, different people's websites who sell MPI silks, and you know, you're looking at this little tiny thumbnail shot of a color, and then you're jumping across screens, and I'm trying to like, okay, well this is this like dark mauve, and let me go try to find something according to it. It was driving me nuts. So I just went down to the Cross Stitch Cupboard, pulled all the flosses it called for, laid them out, and then I slowly started doing my own conversion. And I changed the fabric. So let me lay out my flosses here. 1 second. I changed the fabric and I changed the floss. I brightened the colors considerably. Bear with me, bear with me. We are now going to stitch it on a purple, and these are the colors I chose. I got more turquoise, I got reds, brighter greens. The lights are trying to wash it out a little, but these are the colors I chose. I'm still stitching it on a 30 count like I called for, but this is now Peora Purple by Weeks Dye Works. And then I brightened up the colors. So I have Ice Blue range, Hellenic Gold range, Chinese Red range, and Holly Green ranges. Just to brighten it up and just make it pop. To me, just make it a little more modern or make it a little more current. Make it more me, more color. You see behind me? I like color. So I think that'll look pretty good. There's the original. Muted mauves, muted blues, muted golds. And then see if I can do this without dropping everything. My colors. And then white. It calls for a size 12 pearl and a size 8 pearl. So I'm just going to do it in white. It was like a creamy color it called for. So I'm just going to do white so that'll just really pop off. Ah! And he's dropping. That is one of my goals for this year, is to start that, stitch on that, get that done, or not get it, even if I don't get it done, just work on it. Like growing my stitching. I came back to stitching, I forget what year, number of years ago now. Came back to stitching from when I was younger and everything was, you know, white Aida, DMC. I came back to stitching, I came back to white Aida, DMC, evolved to hand-dyed Aidas, evolved to even weaves, evolved to linens, got up to, you know, Krynics, beading, Miras, you know, choosing my own fabrics, floss conversions, like involved in my stitching. So now I think the next step in my stitching is to now do some specialty threads. Not specialty threads. Well, yeah, because silks. I haven't stitched with a lot of silk. I think I've only done like maybe 2 projects with silk. So stitch with silks and then all the specialty stitches. So I think that'll be it'll be fun. It'll be challenging in my stitching. Okay, so more haul. Flower Santa by Friends Indeed. He's holding an orchid. I just had to because I have a small orchid collection of about 10 orchids currently. It was up to 15 orchids, all rescued from the clearance bin at Lowe's, where the orchids, they think the orchids are dead and dying because they don't have a bloom, they don't have a stem, they overwatered them, they didn't keep care of them, they stressed the orchids, and they threw them on the clearance rack, these poor sad little orchids. And I went and rescued them, brought them home, tender loving care, repotted them, and a lot of them came to life. Some of them didn't survive, but out of the 15 I rescued over the past year, 10 have survived, actually 12 because I got 2 at work, have survived, and they're throwing the roots out, throwing the new leaves out, and I just saw today with this cold weather we've had, one has started to shoot me out a stem, so I'll have a flower, and I'm excited to know what color the flowers are going to be because I have no idea. So this is a Santa holding an orchid, a little stand up. I just couldn't resist when I saw this one. It's an old pattern from, who knows, old. It doesn't have a copyright. Okay. Next pattern I got this off a Stash Unload things. Stars and Stripes Kitty Moon by Stitchy Kitty. Oh, he's so cute. A little patriotic paw print and a little cat moon. I just couldn't resist. Adorable. May try to change the colors on that to make it look more like my calico. I picked this up at the cupboard in the Scarlet House. We are the sampler makers. Plying our needle on linen with thread, our work will live on long after we're dead. Our gentle art gives us such pleasure. The stitchers before us we truly do treasure, for we are the sample makers. I'm not a sample maker, but I'm a stitcher. So I just like that sentiment, hanging up in my sewing room at some point when it's done. Santa, Mirabilia, Santa, the bee pack. Add that to the stash. This one just looks like a full coverage, but he's not that big. 9 inches, 8 inches by 11.5 inches or so. He's not too bad. I picked this one up on my recent trip down to the cupboard. Hunter Gatherer by Rosewood Manor. I guess this came out last year, 2020. I just love it with the animals. And I picked up a piece of Queen Anne's Lace Jobeline to stitch it on. I like the way it looks, kind of, you know, antiqued out, a little old to it. So we'll stitch that. And to go with my orchids, I found this online on eBay for a very good price. By, who's it by? Terrence Nolan. Pangea. It is Catala Orchids. And it's an old Hobby Lobby kit. So it has the linen, the floss, the Krynic. It all is a kit with the linen and everything. I mean, it has an old Hobby Lobby sticker on it. So I think, from what I'm finding out, I guess at one time, Hobby Lobby kitted up patterns and had some pretty decent patterns that they kitted up back in the day. So I don't have any of these orchids yet in my collection. Maybe one day I'll get some. So I think that's really pretty. And the last thing I have to share with you is this just came in the mail. I signed up for this year. It is the Crazy Annie's Annie B's Folk Art 12 Days of Christmas Stitching Ornament Club. So each month you'll get a 12 Days of Christmas ornament. And I signed up for the first month that it came with all of the fabric. So I got all the fabric for the stockings, which is a 27 count even weave by Zweigart, black. And I have the Lady Dot Creates chenille trim and the beads with the kit. So that's, I believe this is finishing for all of the stockings. So I get the first stocking. I need to take the fabric, figure out what size piece I need for each stocking, get it cut, get it serged, get it prepped and ready to go, and get the flosses pulled for this. So I'm excited about that. I do love the 12 Days of Christmas. I do stitch a lot of 12 Days of Christmas. So this is a club I'm in for this year. They're small. As long as I get started on it, I should be able to keep up with it. But I need to get started on it. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you for visiting me. I should be brave and turn the camera so you can see the room. Let's see if I can do this. The room is a mess. Fabric piled. There's cross stitch in that cabinet. My work table. It's got stuff piled up on it temporarily here while I'm filming. And then another cabinet that has yarn. It's a messy room. It's full and it's messy. I need to find time to come in here and clean and organize and put stuff away, which I have done. I need to do it again because I want to get in here and sew. And then sew with the door open, which means Quill, our black cat, will come in and he gets into everything. He climbs up on the bookcases and he climbs everywhere and tries to go up under stuff. So I just need to get it straightened up so he can come in, he can explore and get it out of his system, and then he'll probably just be like, okay, I saw it, I'm done, and he'll leave everything alone. So until then, I probably, let's see what's coming up February. I have some time off at the end of February. My husband and I are celebrating our 15th wedding anniversary at the end of February. So I have a long weekend planned. That'll probably be when I film my next video, since I'll have some time off. I won't have time before then. I'm going to a quilt show with my mom next Saturday in the next town. Oh, not next town, the next county, about an hour up the road, her town. I'm going to a quilt show with her, and planning for StitchCon. That's coming up in June. I'm on weekend B. I figured out what I'm going to do for my smalls exchange. I got that going. I need to finish talking to my friends and coordinate flights. I got to get my flight booked for that. I do have my hotel. But StitchCon weekend B. My birthday is just after StitchCon weekend B, so I'm treating that as a birthday weekend for me. And then hopefully I may have something else exciting in the works to share with you coming up. I just got, before this video, I just got messaged about some event that's in the works, being talked. So if something comes along with that, I will share that with you. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm a Fiber Freak on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. I post a lot of updates on my stitching on there. I do very much try to keep it stitching focused. I keep a separate account for my cats because not everybody wants to see, you know, the animals all the time or whatever. So I do keep a separate account for my cats. Sometimes they do show up on my feed. But I do try to keep my Instagram stitching focused on what I'm stitching on to see the progress. Check on my Instagram, you know, this week, because I will be sharing updates on this. This is probably going to be my focus piece for a while. I'm itching to get this done. I'm loving this right now. So that'll be my focus piece for a while. So watch me on Instagram. Please like and subscribe. Leave me any comments below. I will get back to you. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Anything you want to see. I am going to try, since I have some time off in February, I really do want to get this fully finished, because I have a frame. I got frames for it. I want to get these done. I have frames for them. I have the hands-on design up here, the cookie exchange. I have the stuff to finish it. So I want to get that stuff framed and get the finishing done. I don't do fancy finishing. If you've watched me, I'm not a lot of bows and frills and all that stuff. I'm pretty simple on my finishing. I do like simple finishing. That's just my taste and my style. I like a lot of color. Color, yes. Finishing, simple. But thanks for hanging out with me. I think I'm gonna go adjust the heat because it's still pretty cold in this house. And put my get my husband to give up the sports center for a little while, find some movie to watch or something and stitch, and then later on this afternoon I'll be listening to my book on tape and stitching while he enjoys some football. Our team is out of the race, and we'll see who ends up at the Super Bowl. I will be glad when football season is over. Sorry, for those of you who love football, wonderful. I don't like football. I don't like listening to it. Other than that, everyone stay warm. It's cold everywhere. It is cold everywhere, especially down here, but stay warm. Good day to stay in and stitch. And until I see you next, enjoy your stitching, and thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.